Hello everyone and welcome back to Kayla's Kitchen. Today I'm going to be doing another tea talk for you, talking about what is the difference between English breakfast and Irish breakfast tea. This is a question that I've asked myself quite often because if you have them separately, like not side by side, they might seem very similar. And there is a good reason for that, but we'll talk about that later on. But first of all, let's just talk about their similarities between these two teas. So to start off, both of them are breakfast blends, but what does a breakfast blend mean? It is a blend of tea meant for breakfast. Could have figured that out on your own, couldn't you? Typically, a breakfast blend is also a more robust cup of tea, so that means that it is going to take very well to sugar and milk as well. So let's first start off with looking at English breakfast. English breakfast is actually a lot older than Irish breakfast. That's mostly just due to the fact that England was introduced to tea before Ireland. The term English breakfast actually, or like English breakfast tea, actually came from America. It was coined by an American to refer to specifically a breakfast blend coming out of England. Before that whole thing went down, with coming up with that term, it was just referred to as breakfast tea, but the term English breakfast is now very commonly used because just to distinguish it mainly from other kinds of breakfast blends like Irish breakfast. So the original English breakfast teas were blended from Khimum black tea, and Khimum is a province in China, and so a black tea from Khimum just means that that's where the tea leaves were grown. Tea was, when it first started and it was first introduced to England, was really expensive. It was hard to come by, and originally there wasn't a huge demand for it, but as tea started to become more common, it went down in price, and India also started producing their own teas as well. So when Assam started making their legendary Assam teas, that was actually a lot cheaper for British merchants to come by, and so Assam tea became the go-to, and it soon replaced Khimum as the base for English breakfast teas. So there's sort of two different kinds of English breakfast. You can get an English breakfast blended from Assam or an English breakfast blended from Khimum, and Khimum is a little bit more of a traditional English breakfast. So I thought it would be kind of fun to also take a look at two different brands and their takes on an English breakfast. So first I thought that I would bring up Harney & Sons. So Harney & Sons makes an English breakfast blend, and on their website they talk about that their English breakfast blend is only 100% Khimum black tea. So they wanted to go a very traditional route. Nowadays, because tea is one of the largest industries in the world, it's not really like significantly more expensive to go for a Khimum tea or an Assam tea. So the main reason why blenders switched to using Assam tea instead of Khimum isn't necessarily as relevant anymore. So that is why Harney & Sons decided that they wanted to go a really traditional route and make a very traditional English breakfast like what one of the original ones would have looked like. On the other hand, another very popular English breakfast tea blend is from Twinings tea, which originated in England, and Twinings uses a blend of teas from Kenya, Indonesia, Assam, Malawi, and China. So this is a much more blended tea, right? Technically, even though English breakfast is a blend, and it is technically still a blend because of the way that the tea is grown and produced for Harney & Sons, the Twinings tea is much more blended because it is drawing tea from different regions versus the Harney & Sons tea is all from one region. So I have actually brewed up a little cup of both the Harney & Sons and the Twinings English breakfast so that I can sort of do a side-by-side taste, because I was really curious how the flavors would change versus being a 100% Khimum tea and an Assam blended with other teas. So we're going to start off with Harney & Sons Royal English Breakfast. This is a little tag-along of sachets. It comes with 5 sachets. They're these little like pop containers. Ooh. The tea, the like loose leaves smell very strong, very robust, but there is still a little bit of a lightness to them and kind of a honey smell to them as well. So let's give it a little sip. It is malty, but it is not overly malty, and it's not overly strong, it's not overly astringent, and it's not overly bold. It is a very like medium tea, I would say. You're getting a little bit of a honey sweetness flavor in there, but for the most part, you're just getting a nice, strong, but not overly powerful black tea. I also have a little tea bag of Twinings English breakfast tea. This one actually smells a lot stronger. I'm not really getting any of the honey scent in there. It's mostly just like a really strong black tea. It has a strong maltiness to it, and it has a good strength, but it's definitely more malty. It definitely leaves a dryness in your mouth much more than the Harney & Sons tea did. And there's none of that honey sweetness to it. It is just all black tea. Do with that what you will. I think that I probably prefer the Harney & Sons blend. I really like the Keemum black tea because it has that kind of honey sweetness to it. However, along with that, I actually love Assam tea, so I like both of them pretty equally, but I would probably put the Harney & Sons just like a smidge above the Twinings, just because I like that kind of honey flavor that the Keemum tea has. So now let's talk about Irish breakfast. So Irish breakfast obviously but originated in Ireland. Ireland was introduced to tea a lot later. So when Ireland was introduced to tea, Assam had already become widely popular. So Irish breakfast teas actually originally were blended with Assam tea because that was once again, like just the cheaper, less expensive option for making a tea blend. Assam tea is very strong. It is very malty and very bold. So typically an Irish breakfast tea is going to be a blend of Assam and then one or more other lighter teas. So hearing that, you might be wondering, well then what's the difference between an Irish breakfast and the English breakfast from Twinings, which is a blend of Assam and other lighter teas? And the answer there is that Irish breakfast typically has a stronger concentration of Assam, so it's typically going to be a more robust cup than an English breakfast. So even though I actually don't have any Irish breakfast tea on hand right now, I wanted to kind of look at some of the different blends of Irish breakfast teas out there because I thought that it would be interesting. So Harney & Sons, once again, they have for their Irish breakfast blend, it is 100% Assam tea. So they went with a very traditional, it's only Assam tea in their Irish breakfast blend. Twinings tea uses a blend of teas from Kenya, Indonesia, Assam, and China. I have had the Twinings Irish breakfast before, and I do know that I like it, but I don't think I've ever had the Harney & Sons Irish breakfast, so I think that I want to try that sometime soon. So, in summary, essentially, English breakfast is typically going to be a lighter, perhaps on a side of like with a honey sweetness of a breakfast blend, versus Irish breakfast is typically going to be stronger, bolder, and maltier. So which one do I like better? I haven't had an Irish breakfast in a long time, so this is not the most up-to-date answer. But last time I do remember that I did like Irish breakfast a little bit better. That being said, I was comparing only the Twinings Irish breakfast and English breakfast, and I did like the Harney & Sons English breakfast better than the Twinings English breakfast, so I don't really know which one I would like better if I were to try the Harney & Sons Irish breakfast and the Twinings Irish breakfast. I think that Twinings is actually the only Irish breakfast that I've ever had. So who knows? But that being said, my absolute favorite breakfast blend is not an English breakfast or an Irish breakfast. My favorite breakfast blend is Highland Morn from Simpson & Vale. It's so good. Highland Morn is a blend of black tea with cornflowers, and it is absolutely amazing. I won't talk too much about it because if you want to learn more about it, you should check out my review up there because I have a full review of it, and you could watch it and that'd be kind of fun. So I hope that this video about the differences between English breakfast tea and Irish breakfast tea was helpful for you. I was definitely enlightened when I was doing my research between these two teas because I didn't really know about it before. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe down below, and comment if you like English breakfast or Irish breakfast tea better, if you've tried both of them. But that is all for now, so as always, happy sipping.